Okay, there we go. All right, so welcome to everybody. Welcome, welcome. It's a lovely Monday afternoon here. I hope you guys all had a good weekend. Did everybody have a good weekend, by the way? Everyone survived the weekend? Because that's always a question. I do see many of you here, so it sounds like there wasn't imminent death, but always like to check. So glad to hear. Excellent. Very nice to hear that everyone had a good weekend. I spent the weekend and most of last week out of town and traveling and doing all that stuff. Oh, good. Long weekend in Melbourne. That's always nice. Ah, the tough weather. Yeah, I'm sure, Mel. Very, very tough. Yeah, I was actually out of town for most of the fantastic California weather, so did a lot of driving and traveling and seeing people and so on. And hi, Susan, and Mel, always good to see you, and Caroline. But happy to be back to the charts. I am actually at my office today. I usually do the morning and the evening sessions for my home office where I have all my monitors, and today I'm doing it from my office. And I only have one monitor, so you guys are going to be left with one monitorness today, but everything will be back to normal tomorrow. Oh, darn it, Mel, you should have given me a call. I'm in Irvine as we speak. Well, Newport Beach, but pretty close, so very good, very good. Well, excellent to see you guys. Good things to talk about. For anybody that's visiting us for a first time or a second time or a fifth time or anything like that, welcome. Great to see you. Great to have you with us today. Anybody have any questions about anything whatsoever? Don't hesitate. Send over a message. Type over the details. I will be oh so happy to help and do anything I can to answer your questions, including currency pairs you're looking at, setups you're wondering about, any of that stuff. Just type it right on in, and we will cover everything as quick as we can. That is thing number one. Thing number two is, for a little while now, a week or two, or probably 2 weeks now, I've been pretty heavily talking about a trading tool. Excuse me, and I'm allergic to trading tools apparently. I've been talking about a trading tool that I think many, if not 100% of you guys will find very amazing and or fantastic. And I am super excited to discuss that with you guys in more detail coming up. I will schedule a webinar this week where I will talk about what this trading tool is, how it works, and give you a chance to get a your very own copy. So there will be a webinar coming up, probably middle to end of the week. Maybe around Wednesday, Thursday is probably when we'll be doing it. I'll let you guys all know tomorrow. It'll be a live webinar. I'll show how this tool works, what the methodology is behind it, the simple details that are required to operate it, and so on and so forth. I know many of you have had some questions about it. It is so awesome. I can't even stand it. The reason I've waited a little bit longer is because I'm just making sure that everything is working absolutely fantastic and so on. So that will be coming up Wednesday or Thursday of this week. We'll be doing an evening webinar about that and give you guys a chance to get a hold of all of that. Dan, I will absolutely talk about the Aussie New Zealand. That's going to be super great. Okay, so remember, guys, I'm on one screen, so if you have questions, just let me know. I'll be getting back and forth to the chat area where I can see your questions. And so just ask away, and I'll keep checking back. Hi, Gerhard. Nice to see you. Good to see you. For anybody that is just joining us for the first time or has not been with us for a while or anything like that, we have a live trading group. Day Traders FX is a trading group. You can get set up by going to my website, daytradersfx.com/join. As always, I will put the link right there. We'd love to have you in the trading group. We meet a couple of times every day, morning and afternoon, to discuss trading ideas. You can get a free trial, get everything set up there. We'd love to have you. And if you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to send me an email, send me a Twitter message, get a hold of me that way. So Let's get down to the nitty gritty. We have a busy news week this week. You can see that some of the news coming up. Carney will be speaking tomorrow. I don't even know what he's speaking about, to be totally honest. Testify before the Lords of Economic Affairs. Boy, that's pretty serious. The Lords. Wow. So this could be a little bit of a mover. We'll see how things go with Carney and Bank of England stuff, but keep that in mind, especially in relation to some of these pound pairs that we are going to talk about. And then we have more and more coming. Draghi's going to speak on Wednesday. So on Tuesday, besides that, nothing too interesting is happening. We do have a little bit of Australian news coming today, but this isn't typically a big mover. So not too much news for the rest of today. And then Carney on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we just are face first into massive news and details. So on Wednesday, Draghi speaks. We have some UK news, and then we follow that up nicely with some New Zealand news, which is going to be a big deal. We'll probably be live for that, and we'll probably be live for, I'm just thinking one or the other. Both of these are big, so I think we might watch both of these in the group on Wednesday. So New Zealand news. So I will have this for all paying group members. I'm just going to leave it open from 12 to like 5. And we'll watch New Zealand news on Wednesday and trade any reactions we need to there. And then we're going to watch Australian news on Wednesday, employment news, and we'll trade any details there. So Wednesday is going to be a big day. We'll have lots of exciting news, and we'll just be live basically the entire day watching all of that. So that should be pretty exciting. Thursday, we've got some decent news on Thursday. Retail sales for the U.S., unemployment claims, Carney speaks once again. And then on Friday, Canadian employment numbers, and that's always a big mover, especially we're watching some Canadian pairs pretty nicely right now. So we've got a good week of news coming up. It should be pretty exciting. It's going to take a little bit of time to probably get that move going. Usually after something big like non-farm payroll, like we've just seen, markets can kind of consolidate a little bit before they get rocking and rolling. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case because we have a lot of kind of short and medium term setups in the works. Okay, so I'm going to bring up about 6 or 7 currency pairs here. I was going to say 5, but I think there's actually 6 or 7. The euro dollar has made this nice little rundown. You can see that our indicator right here is starting to tell us some things that we should be watching out for. For example, we're on the 1 hour chart. It's making a bit of a move. Nothing too crazy and nuts, but as far as max pips go, it's getting a little bit interesting there. So we're going to keep an eye on this. So that is euro dollar stuff. But as we get to the larger time frames, like the 4 hour chart and so on, we see that we're exceeding max pips. We're quite a ways away from the 200 moving average on the 4 hour chart. All these things. Now, it seems ridiculous that the euro dollar could make a huge run up. Possibly it seems ridiculous, but I think it's absolutely possible that we could see a run up. We have so many missed pivots and so many missed things up here that the euro dollar is starting to get pretty overcooked on the sell side. Now, there is absolutely no reason to believe fundamentally that the euro dollar is going to go anywhere but down. Technically speaking, though, we do have a pretty good opportunity to start looking for some retracement on the euro dollar. I'm definitely not ready to be long euro dollar. That is absolutely for sure. But I'm starting to keep my eye out because of how overextended the indicator is on so many different time frames. I'm starting to keep my eye out for things like falling wedges, like this guy right here. We have a little short-term kind of falling wedges in the works. Now, I could definitely put this down at 10800, 10700 even. It could really just make a push down there. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But what I want to do, so my slightly longer term view is we're going to start looking for buying opportunities. We're going to start looking for little technical setups to buy the dip on euro dollar, or to actually more importantly buy the breakout up on euro dollar. I'm probably not going to buy any dips, but I will look at buying some breakouts. But in the meantime, for a little short-term trade, no matter how we look at this little situation here, we have a nice little bear flag And we talked about watching that falling wedge that we have, and that's going to definitely be something to keep an eye on. But we have this nice little bear flag, and again, we have a lot of bad news for Europe. So you can see this bear flag a little more clearly on the 4-hour chart. It's just gone down and then totally sideways right there. So what I'm going to be looking for is opportunities to sell this euro dollar. Our safe-ish bet is going to be selling it below 108, like selling it like at 108.20, and we're not that far away. We're at 108.44, but we have a nice little trend line right here on this bear flag, so move down, little retracement there. We could essentially be, over the next hour or so, looking for opportunities to short euro dollar, anywhere below about 108.40. So it'll just be a short-term trade, but if we break 108.40, we'll want to keep some tight stops and do all of that, but I think there's going to be a great opportunity to short euro dollar and write it down through 10800 into some of these lower levels. Remember, we're going way back to some big long-term lows that none of us have seen in a very, very long time, but we're starting to get down into these lows and some of these details back there, but it doesn't change the fact that there's a pretty nice little bear flag right there, and we should be able to grab anywhere from 50 to 75 pips out of a move down below about 108.40. So we're looking at that. Questions, comments, let me know. But first off, bear flag play out on the 1-hour chart, short-term sell trade euro dollar, and then we're going to be looking to kind of buy. The buy probably isn't coming very soon, and the euro is probably going to parity or getting pretty darn close to it. And so we'll be very cautious and careful about that. But for the moment, we're just looking for this little bear flag activity and a move down into 10800 and hopefully below 10800. Pound dollar. I know there's some that are trading pound dollar. We've talked about this. We watched this kind of this rising wedge make a nice little move. One thing that the pound dollar's done is, remember, we've had this huge run down right here, and the pound dollar only started retracing. It hit about 149.50, and it started retracing up, and it got up to this 23% fib, but it never could close above that on the weekly chart, which is the range that we're watching for this whole thing. It hit it a couple of times, but never could make a move above that, so it doesn't really activate our 23 to 38% fib run. Now, it did close above it on the daily chart, but we're looking at a much larger time frame, and usually I see that it needs to make it above that 23% fib on the time frame that we're watching, which would really be the weekly chart. But the fact that it did make it above that, even just a little bit, and it's running back down, I'm looking at this pound dollar. I just don't see enough bearishness, and we're going to know more from the Bank of England this week, but I just don't see enough bearish, dovish news out of the Bank of England, and again, we'll know more this week, to really feel super justified in a big continuation of the downward movement. So I'm watching this pound dollar, and I'm looking for a couple of different things. I'm looking for a possible double bottom. Now, we have to get confirmation that it's a double bottom. I'm not going to assume anything until I see it happen, but I'm looking for a double bottom to happen, and for a possible target of this 23% again, some range boundness, some range trading between 149.50 and 155.00, a 500 or 600 pip range right there. I'm looking for it to hit that 150 area, maybe dip just below a little bit, and then work its way back up towards the mid 150s. Now, we need to get confirmation that that's going to happen by getting a double bottom and by getting some breakouts for that entry back up to the upside and so on. But this is kind of what I'm watching for this week. Now, again, looking for a longer-term target of 155.00 area, 154.50 to 155.00. I don't think the Bank of England is dovish enough for me to really want to continue a big move down like that. But I will trade the break of 149.50 if it comes to that, so you can count on that absolutely. Now, we also have kind of this little choppy, interesting looking bear flag. So we're looking for, remember, I'm looking for 149.50 to 150 to hold, and that's still 100 to 150 pips lower than current market price. We have kind of an interesting looking little bear flag in the works right here. I'd like to see this confirm a little bit more, but But I think we could see a nice little bear flag movement, a nice little breakout, and a run back into at least the low of the flagpole, which is 75 pips. I'll take that. And then looking for that continued push down into 150 area. So I like that. I like that whole setup. I like everything that's going on there. And I think we're going to have some nice little moves getting down into that 149.50 to 150 area. So watch the bear flag. Look for the move. Look for the breakout and that move down into that just above 150 spot, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions so far? Any questions? Send them over. I will answer anything I can. Just to double check, audio and video still good for everybody? I hate being on one screen like this, so I never know what's going on. Everything's still coming through nice and clear for everyone? Good. Excellent. All right. So that's what I'm looking for on pound dollar. Quick little look on Aussie dollar. I'm going to go ahead and say adios to 76.25. And I see more selling pressure coming on the Aussie, the Australian dollar, US dollar. So I'm looking for that to kind of happen. What we see right here is a lot of consolidation on the Australian dollar. There's just dovish central bank stuff like crazy. And we still have some pretty good pressure on the U.S. dollar for the buy side of things. Now, it's not getting horribly overextended, but it's getting pretty close on the indicator. It's getting pretty extended, so we want to keep that in mind and be careful of that. But we've seen a big move down, and then we've just seen a month or so of consolidation and it's starting to move back down again. That low right there is 76.25, and I think it's going to break. In fact, I'm very, very confident that we're going to see a break and a move down into that. If we start looking at some of the larger pictures here, what we have, let's get rid of that for a moment. If we look at the larger picture of like the monthly chart, you can see it's made a strong move down for sure. But there's not really much stopping it right here. There's really nothing too much in the way. We've seen some consolidation back there, but really nothing too much stopping it at that point. So we could see some nice continuation down there. And that's why I'm looking for a break and a possible short at this break of 76.25. Not a possible short. I'll be shorting it if we get down there. Now, one thing that it did though, and we were focused. We ended up spending most of our time on non-farm payroll on the dollar yen. We made some nice profits on the dollar yen. And we actually had a pretty good week last week, and dollar yen gave us a nice little buy trade that we jumped into. But we ended up missing this whole thing that I've been talking about last week, which was the break of the neckline on the Aussie dollar kind of head and shoulders pattern. You see on this 4-hour chart, it's had that nice little consolidation, nice little details in the works there. Head, shoulder, shoulder, and here's our neckline right here, which was 77.40. Now, it's not much below that, but it is a little bit below that. So I'm going to be looking for any opportunity to short some pullback on this Aussie dollar. I'd like to get in somewhere around 77.15-ish area, nothing too crazy, somewhere along those lines, and trade this down into 76.25 area, and then look at kind of how it's behaving at that 76.25 and try to hold on to a break through that level. The Australian dollar, the Australian dollar is infamous for just trending forever. It just never seems. The Australian dollar is kind of like the yen, where it just, once it starts going, it just doesn't seem to ever stop, and it can just go forever and ever. And we're not getting much of a change of news on the horizon. The U.S. dollar is looking very bullish still, and the Australian dollar is looking pretty bearish. So I'm just going to keep shorting this pair, and I'm not going to toil with the details. So again, looking to get back on a little bit of a pullback. I'd like to see it pull back 20 to 30 pips, trade it down to that 76.25, and then trade the break of that 76.25 and just continue on for another 150 to 200 pips. I think we're going to have a nice target down there, down around the 74, 100 area. Beyond that, it's anyone's guess, but I think we're going to see some lows break and some movements happen. So should be good. Okay, so that's Australian dollar. Again, questions, comments. I don't want to zoom through things too fast, but I just want to get through all these pairs because we've got so many of them. So that's the Australian dollar. Dollar CAD is looking very, very good here as well. Bull flag, and I'm just pretty much looking for 12800 on dollar CAD. That's what I'd like to see. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry, it's my horrible Canadian dollar joke. Anyway, so that's what I'm looking for here, and I think we're going to get a nice little move up through this bull flag into that 128. Now 128 comes from the highs back here of 2008/2009, where we get that, or excuse me, my 128 is coming from this high right here. We have 130 that's all the way back here, and I just don't know if I'm holding on to 130 just yet. I'm looking to just trade into our recent highs of the last couple of months here. These are highs of, I think, January. It looks like about 12800. Lots of consolidation. We've had this big run up, lots of consolidation, and it looks like it might just be able to continue higher. Now, it's interesting that we have, a nice little breakout, nice consolidation, nice little details, and we get this nice little bull flag right here. So I think if we can get above this 126, 25, 30 area, we're going to be able to see at least a move of 50 pips into this high of last week, or the week before actually, and then we'll probably be able to hold on to it for a little bit more. Now, the flip side of that is we have a 4-hour chart on the Canadian dollar that is so overbought that it's ridiculous. It's like ridiculous. This thing has just gone forever. So I'm getting cautious. This isn't something that I want to just be long forever. What I want to do, though, is trade with the trend, recognize the consolidation, and recognize that the U.S. dollar still has some bullish properties, and the Canadian dollar, with rate cuts and so on, has got some bearish properties there. The Canadian dollar's been, it's been holding pretty well here, but now I think we're going to see a little more CAD weakness, a little more dollar strength. So watch this 1-hour chart bull flag rate. Right here. Look for a break of about 126.30 or so, and let's look for a move up into 126.75 and 80 and ultimately into 127 and beyond, and about the highest point I'm going to be looking for is 128 for the fairly near term. Once we start getting up there, we're absolutely positively going to start looking pretty aggressively for some price patterns to short this thing and kind of fulfill that 4-hour chart. But again, we've had a nice move up, lots of consolidation, lots of time for the market to recover and repair and just continue to head higher. So let's trade it that way. Let's trade this bull flag and just take her on home. Okay, that's dollar CAD. Dollar yen. Here we are at 121. We took a nice little trade on the dollar yen. We bought the break here and wrote it up for some nice pips with non-farm payroll on Friday. Now here we are at 121.40 area, and I'm looking for 12400. I don't think that's out of the question at all. 12400 takes us into, we got to go and find some of these big levels right here. It takes us into the highs of 2007 area. I think that's 2007. So 2007 takes us right back up into that. Now again, we have to kind of look at the price patterns here and see what we see, and that is a nice run up and tons of consolidation. The dollar yen has consolidated all of December, January, February, and it's starting to break out of that consolidation. So I think we're headed up into at least into the highs here, which are around 121.80, which isn't very far, but I can't imagine we're not going to break those highs. The dollar yen has just been going sideways for so long that I think we're going to see a nice little continuation up, and with that continuation we should see some nice upper targets hit. Now it's going to be interesting to get into this one because we kind of had our bull flag set up right here, and then that's kind of been playing out over the last little while. You can see this move right there. Here was kind of our bull flag area, and it's just, it's broken out. The 12100 was a good little spot for that. So we're going to watch for little pullbacks into 12100, 12110 area, and look for opportunities to buy that into 12200 and beyond. So I'm just looking for more continued upside. We don't really have anything that's super overbought on dollar yen. No real reason to believe that that's going to come tumbling down anytime too terribly soon. And I'm still going on the hunch that the U.S. is going to raise rates, and that Japan will just keep things really soft and easy. Big Bang reference. Darn it! I don't watch Big Bang. I don't even know what you're talking about. I wish I did. I know it's hugely popular. Okay, so that's dollar yen. The only thing I'm looking at on dollar Swiss franc is the 15-minute chart. I looked at the 15-minute chart. We've got an indicator for a little short-term kind of correction, a little opportunity to sell. So we've got essentially we've got some pretty nice this stuff, a bit of a rising wedge in the works and so on. So watch this dollar Swiss franc as it makes a run. We're just looking for a move down into about the 98.15, take out that daily pivot, 200 moving average. That's about it. If we get any kind of big mix-up in the dollar, which I am not, by the way, taking out of the equation, then we could get that bigger move down into the weekly pivot and some of these levels. But I would just be looking for a really short-term 15-minute chart setup on dollar Swiss franc and a move down into that 98.15 is all. Okay. Oh, yes, Dave. I have got some good things to say about gold. I've been pretty neutral on gold lately. I am unneutral. Or I'm in gear or something. I don't know. So, yes, definitely good things to talk about on gold. Here's Aussie New Zealand. We've been doing so much with this Aussie New Zealand, and it's just been all over the place, and we finally get this nice big run up with New Zealand saying, hey, we're backing things off a little bit, and we have New Zealand news coming out on Wednesday, remember, which is going to be a big day. But with Aussie New Zealand here, we see this nice little move higher, and it's creating essentially a bit of a bull flag for us as well. We're looking for this consolidation. A break above 10500 is where we want to get long again on Aussie New Zealand. Break above 10500 is where we get long. Now, the reason we're going to get long there is because we've just been consolidating this whole move down right here from the high of January to the low of February and the low of March so far. It's run up into the 38% fib, and it's just stuck there. Now, we know the Aussie New Zealand's coming off big lows, and it's doing all of that. I will buy Aussie New Zealand on any dips down all day long. I will buy this on any dips, and I'll buy it with New Zealand news. If New Zealand news gets it spiking and going all over the place, then I'll just buy it on the dip. But if that doesn't happen, then I'm just going to be getting long above 10500 again. So more long above 10500. I think this is going to be great. I think we've got nice little runs to go from there. The more it dips, the better I feel about it. But 10500 is going to be our next spot to get long Aussie New Zealand. We did just see some Aussie news right now. The business confidence report situation came out moments ago, and you can see a little bit of a push on the Aussie dollar there. It's kind of holding it down just a little bit. So keep that in mind. Quick little thing to say on Aussie yen. Australia's got some weakness, Japan's got some weakness, so it makes it a tough pair to trade, and these are not my favorite scenarios, but I'm just looking for a break below 92.95. Something like that will definitely have my attention. We've got a bit of a rising wedge right here. It's been staying in this channel. It's been doing all of that. So if we get below 92.95, I'll be short Aussie yen for a move into, probably into that monthly pivot as a very minimum. And that monthly pivot you can see is 92.22. So it's not a huge amount of movement, but we can get, if we get in somewhere around, we'll say 92.90, that's going to give us 65 pips or so, and we'll probably be able to get through that. So I'm going to be looking for a move out of that rising wedge, out of the rising wedge and below 92.95 to short down into about 9200, give or take. Okay. And guys, while I'm going through this, just send over pairs you're looking at because we got, I'm almost done here, but any other pairs you want to talk about, let's talk about it. Quick little look, euro yen. I haven't even hardly looked at this pair, and I don't even know how long, but euro yen is coming down into a big double bottom. Euro yen absolutely made a big drop here and definitely had many opens and closes above the 23% fib and never reached the 38% fib, and here it is coming right back down again. Now, if the euro dollar starts to recover, which it's already breaking out of this little bear flag right here that we talked about, if the euro dollar starts to recover, we may see a little bit of euro yen recovery as well, and that could take us up into 137.65, which is a massive move. That's obviously 600 pips from where it currently is, and it's definitely not out of the question. It's a little less likely, but it's not out of the question. So I'm looking for that. I'm watching to see if this double bottom holds at 130.15. If it does, I'm going to be looking for some opportunity to buy this thing up into that area. If it doesn't, I would feel okay about continuing to short breaks of this low right here. It's a pretty nice little support zone that we've got. Lots of consolidation back there, nice little low there. And again, that's 130.15. We start breaking below that, and we could start to get some decent moves to the downside. But if that low holds, be ready to buy off of 130.15 / 130 and look for moves up into these fib levels that are all looking very, very good. Okay, almost last one. I said that I am very, I've been pretty just sideways on gold. Gold made a nice little breakout with employment news on Friday. Nice little move there. Very excellent bear flag. Nice consolidation. I'm looking for 1130 to be our next target there, $1,130. It's sitting, you can see we're about 1167. I'm looking for a break, an opportunity to short gold lower and trade it down into some of those lows. You can see 1130 takes us very nicely back into this low right here. Which is 1132, and I think we have a very excellent, very fantastic opportunity of getting there probably pretty soon. So I'm going to be watching gold. I'm going to be looking for that move down, and the reason I get 1130 is because that's our price projection on this little bull flagpole right there. That's a little over $30 worth of movement, and we're going to get a nice little break here. So let's be ready to get short gold somewhere around 1165 thereabouts. So be ready for that one. Last but not least, the Mexican peso. Again, we were focused on the dollar yen on Friday, so we didn't really get a chance to do much on the peso when it broke out with employment news. We have a nice little, on the dollar peso, a nice little bull flag and plenty of room to move higher. Great bull flag, great consolidation. Look for a break of this high, which currently, where's our high right here? Currently our high sits at about 15.52. And let's look for that to break higher and make a nice little move there. We talked about this 15.15 to be our breakout zone. It broke out and then just kind of went sideways, and then the employment news broke out and then did this stuff, and then employment news shot it straight up. So it did the move we were looking for. We were just trading the dollar yen instead of the Mexican peso. But I think it's going to play out very, very nicely with this bull flag. So look for a break above that and a continuation higher. Should be a excellent area to get a little bit more on the pip side of things. So many setups, I can't even hardly keep track. That's what we're looking for the moment. I'm going to get this recording posted and notes updated, and I will take all of your questions right now. Send them on over. I'm right here.